Welcome, everybody, to another edition of All In with Art Stapleton, a New York Giants podcast brought to you by NorthJersey.com and The Record. I'm your host, Art Stapleton, and we are still in week 0, but the fallout from the NFL's cut day, we've had waiver claims, and the Giants have their team. And today, Brian Daboll admitted during practice there will be some Washington preparation going on, practice today and tomorrow for the Giants before they take Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off. At least the players will. I'm not sure what the coaches will do. And then the Giants are back in here on Labor Day and then set up the week. They are in on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. They will have off on Thursday. Then Friday will be their final practice. Saturday, they have a walkthrough and a travel down to Landover, Maryland. And kickoff, 1 o'clock Sunday afternoon at the place formerly known as FedEx Field. It's the Commanders and the New York Giants kicking off the 2025 season. So, producer Paul Wood and I talked about before the show, we just had our media viewing period at practice. So I have a couple tidbits from that. I can talk about the waivers if you want and kind of reset the scene, getting ready for the season. We'll start with the media viewing period. Some of the things, number one, everybody keeps asking about numbers, jersey numbers. As of right now, there has not been a change in terms of Jackson Dart. He is still wearing number 6, and Abdul Carter is still wearing 51. Now, both players have given no indication that they're looking to change their numbers, but obviously those are two franchise cornerstones potentially as rookies. I would imagine that there are a lot of fans who are eager to go out and buy their jerseys. So as soon as we hear, you'll hear. But as of today's media viewing period, there is no change in number 6 and number 51. All right, let's go right to the waiver claims. You've got 2 waiver claims for the Giants today. Let me get to them to make sure that I hit on them and I get the correct name. I believe it's Bo Brady, Brade. He was a rookie last year for the Ravens. He's a DB, safety experience, not a lot of snaps on defense. I think 11 snaps on defense last year. He's a core special teamer. He will be on the active roster as the 4th safety behind Javon Holland and Tyler Nubin and Dane Belton. So that's where the Giants stand with Brady. Like I said, maybe there is some defensive capabilities moving forward, but right now, as far as his track record in the NFL, it's been strictly on special teams. Now, he did play well in the preseason, from what I understand, on defense. Shows very good run support, so maybe the Giants see him as someone who can develop and also be on the active roster to the point where in a game day situation, if you need to play him at safety, you can play him as safety. So the other piece of news is the waiver claim from New Orleans is Corey Payton, I believe his name is. I'm flaking right now, so I'm going to go right to because we don't have a roster, unfortunately, with the waiver claims as of yet. So, no, I'm sorry. Why did I say Corey Payton? It's Rico Payton, Rico Suave. So, Rico Payton is a corner from New Orleans. Now, here's the catch. Rico Payton was waived injured by New Orleans, so he's not ready to play. But the Giants like him a lot, to the point where Joe Shane insinuated in the presser that he and Brian Daboll gave us that this time last year, they expected the Saints to waive Rico Payton. And if that had happened, they would have claimed Rico Payton last year. They like him a lot. They like him as a corner, but he was waived injured. The Giants thought it was worthy of claiming him anyway. So they have to make 2 moves to make this happen. And now we're going to have some roster gymnastics for the Giants. The reality now is that Corey Black, the rookie, was not out at practice. He was waived. Rookie corner, 7th-round pick. Now, with such a small body work on film, the Giants expect to be able to have him back on the practice squad tomorrow. And they're counting on the fact that he'll clear waivers because no one really has much film on Corey Black. He was a non-combine guy. So they feel pretty confident that they're going to get Corey Black back. Now, to make room for the second waiver claim, the Giants released Gunnar Olszewski. Now, you're looking at this going, wait a minute, why did they release Gunnar when they picked him over Amir Smith-Marset? What's going on? This is strictly a vested veteran move. The Giants will release Gunnar Olszewski. He'll miss today's practice and then return tomorrow for tomorrow's practice after the Giants make the move of putting Rico Payton on injured reserve because they want to give him a 4-week period to be able to come here. And now that we're after the first cutoff day, the cutdown day, that he is eligible and then he will be eligible for designation to return at any point beyond 4 weeks. So that's what the Giants have done here with their waiver claims, a little bit of maneuvering. And I just got word now that Greg Dulcich is not signing with the Giants. He is signing with the Dolphins. So whatever happened over the top, it happened. And that's what happened today with Dulcich. So I had been told that Greg Dulcich was coming back here. Now it sounds like a team came over the top, and it was the Dolphins. So Greg Dulcich goes to the Dolphins instead of the Giants. So that is not happening. And that's where we're at. So here's the practice squad that the Giants have officially announced. Elijah Chapman, Trace Ford, Tamon Fox, Elijah Garcia, Brian Hudson, Little Jordan Humphrey, Jake Kubas, Raheem Lane, Jude McAtamney. He's the international pathway player, so he's really a 17th player. Dante Miller, Turbo's back, Jordan Riley, Amir Smith-Marset, and D. Williams. So that's where the Giants practice squad is. They're looking at 4 other guys to bring aboard, likely from other teams. We'll see when that happens. So I can tell you that I was told that Dulcich, Chapman, and Miller were all returning to the practice squad. That is not happening now. Dulcich is going to the Miami Dolphins. So obviously I'm recording this now, so I'm getting the news live. We'll wait and see what happens. But like I said, there's a story there because I was told that Dulcich was returning, and now he's not. And, I'm going to go right now, and in live, I'm going to tweet it out that now Tom Pelissero is reporting that Greg Dulcich is headed to the Dolphins. So we can do that, and you can see our job in real time and how it works. And that's that. That's it. So Dulcich is not coming back. It's not finalized, and that's the way it is. So it happens. All right, so let's talk practice today and get away from these waiver claims. It's done. I mean, the reality is that the waiver claims and the practice squad, it's not going to focus in most of the time on the regular roster, at least not for week 1. So big news at practice today. As I reported on Monday, Andrew Thomas was inside. It wasn't an alarm, not time to sound the alarm yet. It was as part of his ramp-up plan, and now Thomas was back out on the field today. Giants are in full pads. Saw Thomas working during positional periods, working on double teams with Daniel Bellinger. So during the media viewing period, you got to like what you saw from Andrew Thomas. I certainly did. So that's a good sign for where the Giants are with their starting left tackle. I know it's going to kind of be this back and forth every day of what we're feeling about Andrew Thomas and where things are. But right now, seeing him on the field today, from what I understand, he's moving in the right direction and has a very good chance of being there on week 1. So, unlike Greg Dulcich, Andrew Thomas won't be signing with the Dolphins practice squad. So you guys can enjoy that one for what it is. I'm sure I'll be taking some heat on Twitter for saying that Dulcich was back. These things happen. You're trying to report things that are happening in real time. So as you can tell, if you're watching this or listening to this, it's bothering me that happened. So it is what it is. It happens. It's a practice squad signing. And that's it. So it's my bad. He's not signing with the Giants. He's going to the Dolphins. Sometimes teams come in over the top. Sometimes you get bad information. I'm not sure what the story is there, but I will get to the bottom of that and figure out what happened so I can get it to you, the all-in audience. All right, what else we got? Today, after practice, we are back in the locker room for the first time since last season. Russell Wilson will be talking on the podium, and then we'll be back. We will be back in the locker room to talk to as many players as we can. So let's see. Thoughts on the roster. Let's go there. I think when you talk about where the Giants are at as far as quarterbacks and Tommy DeVito claimed by New England, going to the Patriots, which is ironic considering Tommy DeVito 2 summers ago when he was a rookie was on the phone with Bill Belichick in the MetLife Stadium parking lot right over there. And Belichick's trying to convince Tommy to come and sign with the Patriots practice squad. DeVito followed his gut, stayed with the Giants, stayed home, ends up having the run as an undrafted rookie. We know winning 3 games cost the Giants a higher draft pick. The Patriots are ahead of them. They refuse to trade. They draft Drake May. And then now Tommy DeVito, he's number 4 in a 3-man room. And that was happening. You know, I told you the other day, or at least I wrote on social media, that the Giants, there were discussions about what do we do? Do we keep Tommy as a 4th quarterback and then play out the beginning of the season? But they just made the determination that they like their roster too much to be able to risk losing another player in another spot. So they waived DeVito. It'll be interesting to find out. I had heard Jets and Patriots for DeVito. Obviously, Patriots had priority in the waivers. I don't know if the Jets put in a claim or not. We'll have to figure out that and see what's reported later on today. But DeVito is out, and he's up in New England. So wouldn't it be great? December 1st, up in Foxborough, Tommy DeVito against Jackson Dart, Monday Night Football. Hey, you never know. You never know how these things play out. Maybe it'll be Drake May against Jackson Dart. And the irony, as I wrote in a column, is the fact that Tommy DeVito spent months with Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart basically praising him, saying he was the teammate that helped them the most. So does Tommy DeVito get let off the hook by the fan base for costing them a shot at Drake May? Jaden Daniels, they weren't getting Jaden Daniels. They weren't getting ahead of Washington. I guess if they had lost to Washington in that game. But does DeVito get credit if Jackson Dart becomes the franchise quarterback, that he helped grease the skids early on, along with Brian Dable and Mike Kafka and Shea Tierney and everyone else who's helping Jackson Dart along the way? Most importantly, Jackson Dart himself. But they'll go with 3 quarterbacks. They'll go with 3 running backs. That tells you what they think of Cam Scatterbo, that he is healthy. Turbo Miller back on the practice squad. Malik Neighbors headlining the wide receiver core. Still a little young with Bo Collins. I think they love Bo Collins in run game situations. Think David Tyree, when David Tyree was at his best with this team. It was a lot of play action, but he was out there and he knew they were going to run the football. Patriots knew they were going to run the football when David Tyree was on the field. That's why in Super Bowl 42, Tyree was able to catch that touchdown from Eli Manning because the Patriots were playing run. They caught him in play action and hit Tyree. But a great statement for Beau Collins as an undrafted rookie. He's done everything you could ask this summer to show that he belongs on the team. I think ultimately Beau Collins could become a better pro than he was a college player, bouncing back and forth between Clemson and Notre Dame. Tight ends, again, the Dulcich thing. I think bottom line, Chris Manhertz and Daniel Bellinger get crapped on by a lot of people in this fan base. I don't know why. I know Bellinger, fourth round draft pick. A lot of people look at Bellinger and want him to be Gronk. He's not Gronk. If you look at Bellinger as a solid foundational piece, somebody in this roster who's, 30 to 46 on game day, he's a good player, a solid player in the NFL. He's not a great player. He's not going to be a top 15 tight end in the league, but he's somebody that you need to have on the roster in order to succeed. And I know Greg Dulcich made a lot of plays in the preseason, but you're looking at guys who can make those same plays, most notably Theo Johnson. Now, it's a little concerning that Theo has not been on the field the last couple of practices. I'll begin to worry about Theo if Monday or Tuesday comes around of next week and he's not out on the field. You hope that maybe he's dealing with something and they're giving him treatment inside. And he's, like I said, this is 0 week, so you're trying to get him back up to where you need to be when the real game prep starts next week. Offensive line, no real surprises here. They did get Kubas and Hudson back. Stinney, a little bit of a surprise, but with Josh Azudu going on IR, designated for return, they needed another interior player. So Stinney is here. I think you're looking at the 5 that you had last year when they were healthy. Andrew Thomas, Van Roten at right guard, Runyon at left guard, JMS at center, Illuminor at right tackle. First reserve on the interior could end up being Evan Neal. And then your first tackle on the outside, it's a debate. Is it Marcus Bowe or is it James Hudson? We'll have to see how that plays out and what they choose to do. So that's that on that front. Let's go to the defensive side of the ball. DJ Davidson made a huge push late in the preseason. I think bumped Elijah Chapman because of his ability to play Davidson on first and second down. Chapman is now on the practice squad. Need Roy Robertson-Harris and Nacho to really step up their games. Robertson-Harris did that in the preseason. Still waiting to see if Nacho in a rotation can be the guy that they signed here and be solid in a rotation. You don't want him to be a liability because then you're going to be looking for other options. And Darius Alexander, conflicting reports. You have some people who watched the preseason and said Darius Alexander didn't look great. You have other people who watched him and said they thought he did look good in preseason. The things that they're going to be asking him to do if he's in there next to Dexter Lawrence. So we'll see if Darius Alexander is inactive week 1. That's what the Giants are telling you, that he needs a little bit more seasoning and needs more time. If he's active, the Giants believe he can have a role on game day. Inside linebackers. Pretty much expected this group, except for Demetrius Flanagan-Foles. He's been hurt all summer. He's really a core special teamer. Let's see how he progresses. But I think you're going to end up seeing Bobby Okereke, Micah McFadden, and Darius Muasau getting defensive snaps. Chris Board and Flanagan-Foles will be on special teams. Outside linebacker group, exactly what you expect. Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, Abdul Carter, and Chauncey Golston. In the secondary, at corner, I think you're going to see Paulson Adebo and Cordell Flott. I think you'll see Drew Phillips in the nickel with Nick Jones as his backup. We'll see where Tay Banks factors in, and if he can get back healthy and be out there on the field and really log in some playing time. And then at safety, we've already gone through that. It's Newbin, Holland, and Belton on game days. And I think Brady will be on special teams. And then you have your three specialists are the same. Obviously, Graham Gano in the preseason opener against Buffalo, 3 50-yard plus field goals. You have to feel good about where he's at. But then obviously going down to Washington, you're going to have the memories. They're going to be fresh about what happened last year and how the Giants ended up playing without a kicker when Graham Gano got hurt on the kickoff, came in with an injury. His pregame didn't look great, got taped up, then looked much better, and then gets hurt on the opening kickoff. We'll see what the Giants end up doing there and special teams, but they feel like their specialists are good right now. And Casey Kreider, Jamie Gillen had a strong preseason, so that's where we go. So could the Giants be adding anyone else? I could see still a wide receiver. Do they go Gabe Davis? Is he not 100% healthy yet? Do they look elsewhere? I thought maybe Trey Palmer from the Bucs would have been a good claim. He ended up with New Orleans. I thought maybe inside linebacker they may have looked for somebody. They did not. So it remains to be seen what these last couple practice squad spots will look like, but also will the Giants look to make a move free agent-wise. But they're happy, and this is their team. And I wrote about it in the story. You know, anyone who's watched the show, I've referenced it many times. The movie Miracle with Herb Brooks is one of my favorite movies. And I had the image of Brian Dable in his office yesterday, like Herb Brooks, when he makes his final cuts and closes his binder on the training camp portion of and the exhibition season of the U.S. hockey season. Herb Brooks, that is, in Miracle, and wrote all his names on the index card, said, I've got my team. I don't think Brian Dable went to those lengths, but they have their team, and this is their team they're taking into 2025. Better overall roster. I think they feel much better at quarterback. I think they feel like if the offensive line can stay healthy, they can do some things offensively. Do you take momentum out of the summer and they scored more than 30 points in 3 games? No, it's not going to matter come week 1 in Washington, play 1. But we're going to see. We're going to see how it goes. So crazy couple days with all the roster movement and the waivers, but I wanted to jump on and make sure I got you an all-in going into the weekend. So enjoy your Labor Day weekend. Giants are off. We'll be back on it next week. We'll have it all in next week. We'll see about getting some player guests next week. And that's where we're at. So for Paul Wood, I'm Mark Stapleton. We appreciate you being all in. We're all in as well. Thanks for listening and watching today's show. We'll be back next week. Week 1 of the NFL season. Giants, Commanders gets going for real in 2025.